Hello, hello, this is Arcades, and welcome to a bit of an update video for Stormworks Build and Rescue. Yeah, so, you're catching me as I'm driving a truck over to deal with the oil facility they released with the oil update. They added, yeah, there's some interesting stuff they added with this. So, we have currently, they added a whole bunch of new parts. They added, some drilling sites and other options where we can buy surveys to get stuff. So as I'm on my way, driving to one of the sites where I have a facility set up as it stands. Oh, I did stream it. It is on Twitch under Arcade Test, where I started with the update and checked it out. So yeah, I would suggest going over there, checking out. It was a 10-hour stream. It frustrated me all that back. But yeah, so when we get back to it, we're going to check out the facility and yeah. Let's get into this. Let's see the oil industry update. So yeah, the thing is with this, it was definitely frustrating to get some of the parts figured out how they work together. And as you can see, I already have a facility set up there. And if you recognize, there's the tanker plus the career truck I had built earlier. I figured it was a nice touch if I could bring oil tanker. This truck is on my workshop, by the way, if you want to look it up. My G2 Optimus Prime. It is a functional tanker, so, and looks pretty badass. So, yeah, about the facility. So I'm going to take a quick look at it, and I'm going to show you the basics of some of the parts and how they work together, and hopefully have a little bit of better success. And hopefully give you some tips on things to watch out for, and hopefully get everything working. I don't remember the brakes on this thing. It's not the same as my primary truck. Oh yeah, it was down. Okay, so, quick run through. They added these 4 new sites. Actually, there's a total of 5. So we have an oil deposit here to the northeast of Meyer Island by the FJ Warner docks. You have one to the south by the JSI dock. There's one over here by the starter base, something I was going to show as part of the video. It's already loaded up there near the starter base. And there's another one right here in the middle near the Ollie switchyard. So you have those 4 deposits, and then we have at the custom oil dock, there's another one right there. And that one's underwater. Now, the thing is about the 4 that are on Meyer, the 4 that are pre-installed at Meyer, they come with a wellhead part already installed. So you don't have to do that part. Let me show you right here. This gold piece right here. The oil rig wellhead, that's already installed. So all you got to do is build over top of it. It's set to the center of this. So all you got to do is build around that with that idea. Now, over the basic process, you're going to use, they added a few new parts, which most of them are used right here. Right now, this facility is pumping oil, is currently running and working. Slow that down a little bit, get a little herky-jerky. So, as you can see, we have oil flowing through here, and it's getting loaded into this truck. Alright, let's go over the basics of this. So, they added a number of parts. One of them, I said, was the drill head. This is the part that you contact in the ground. It has logic for anchoring it to tell you that it's anchored, and it gives you the drill depth and well depth. And this will tell you how the drill depth tells you how far it is, and the well depth will tell you where it's gotten to. So the drill tells you where you're at with your drilling. The well depth tells you where you've gotten so far. So you can get an idea how many things you throw down there. Now, one of the parts they added was this, the rotary oil rig rotary table. This spins your drill piping so that you can actually drill. This is one of 2 things needed to progress down your well. The other is your swivel. I'll go into the things so you can see them more in action later. But the rotary, it requires an RPS value coming into it. I'm just using an electric motor for this test setup to power it. The large electric fires fine. It caps out at 5 RPS. So don't worry about getting huge amounts, but the large got it up to 5 easy. The medium, I think I was getting around 3. And I actually like 3 on my setup. Now, they also added oil rig drill connector and oil rig drill clamp. What these do is manipulate pipes. As you can see over here, I have a setup where I have a rack of pipes sitting on the new part, the oil rig rod storage. So when you go into your build, this is the part that gets, is the pipe when you place it down. Now the thing is, technically, you can pick up the pipe, as you can see here, and pull it out of the rack. Thing is you have to get pretty damn close. It's kind of like a hardboard connector, but you can reinsert it in there. So if I was to pull it out and put it back in, it's not going to stay. But if I, in my little system here, say I advance, to the next column, as I have it designed to do, I have a better setup for this. Whoops. See, my arm comes around, comes forward, and as you can see, I got it where it'll go into the groove. I'm going to go ahead and activate the clamp. I'll tell you what that is here. Give me a second. Now, as you can see, it grabbed the pipe from the thing. Now, if I come back, brings it back, it will put the pipe back in the thing, as long as it's aligned in there properly. You see? It's held in. I have no idea what that's doing right now. But, so that's your piping you need for the drills. Now, the other parts is, well, as you're digging, you're going to need more than one pipe. As you can see, I had a rack of here. This setup I ended up for this well using through 7? At least 7 of them. You see number 7's at the top there. It doesn't actually go down. It's just connecting to the top of the system. I don't think we can actually see the connection point. Because this, my setup here is the length of a pipe. So I can grab a pipe, swing it around in place, connect it into there. The connector, if you can get the ends inside that area, you are given it will tell you, hey, these are aligned with an output, in which case you hit a button, give it an input, like I have here, and it will bring the 2 pipe pieces together and make them one piece. So thus you don't need something to hold on to them. Excuse me. Now, the swivel up there, that part right at the top, now that's a combination of 2 pieces right there. That's pump jack plus the swivel. I know I'm showing you the completed setup right now, and it'll be easier to see the individual parts, but I wanted you to go ahead and just see the setup that I came up with. There's multiple different ways to do a setup, but now for the other element to progress the depth of your well, you need slurry, but you also need the piping. The swivel brings that all together. So slurry you can actually spawn into tanks now. It's one of the selections you can have in here. It's also on the spawner, the fluid spawner, so you can make a big tank of it. So you make a big tank of it, and you could like fill up like a tanker truck full of slurry. Now the point of the slurry is it gets sent through the swivel, gets sent down to the pipe, so to speak. The idea is you concern an X amount of slurry to create progress. You also need the rotational force of the table to create progress. So as long as you have both, you will slowly make progress, and the pipe will shorten down that entire length. Now, slurry comes in, saturated slurry comes out, and it goes to the next stage. You can do one of 2 things. You can either just yeet it out, put a port on, throw it out, or delete it, however you want to do it, or send it into a tank. I opted for the tank. So in my system here, the slurry comes in, it goes through the piping system, goes to the swivel, and it comes out, and I bring it back out, and it comes here to the slurry filters. Now, slurry filters require water and the slurry. The slurry being the saturated slurry. Regular slurry will go through it too, from what I can tell. But right now it's looking for the saturated slurry. It goes through the filter. It does consume a portion of the water to clean the slurry from saturated to regular slurry. I found that out the hard way. So be prepared. It will consume the fresh water, and it needs fresh water. I went ahead as a quick build. I just used cylinder heads, the large 5x5 cylinder heads. I think they hold like 400 liters of water. Up to 500, I think. And all you got to do is put a coolant manifold on them, and you can pull the water out, and you push it right back in. It works fine, and you can use it. Now, I like it because I don't have to select anything. I can literally just put it down, put a manifold down, and go to business. Okie dokie. But you can just use a regular fluid tank, set it to fresh water. I think the large fluid tanks technically hold more, and they're smaller, but like I said, you got to set up some settings, and the whole openings are at set positions, which is good and bad. And you don't get to use the manifolds. Manifolds don't require pumps. Anyways, that's another discussion. But anyway, so it goes through the slurry, and you basically send it back onto the back end, and it cycles back around to the swivel, and it creates that process over and over again. And the whole time you are consuming fresh water. If you decide to use filter, otherwise you're just consuming slurry, and you need a large supply of slurry to keep going through the thing. I think somebody said 8,000 liters for 30 meters? I don't know. Now, your RPS will also affect your consumption rate. And I know this is a bit like at most, a filter, when it's fully, like when you're going full speed, maxes out at 3 liters a second of slurry coming out. This is what I've seen so far. Like, if you throw a whole bunch of slurry into there, so the more filters you have, the more you'll have available in the system. And the slower you go, the less you actually need to make progress. So if you can find that balance, like with my system here, I got 5 filters at about a little under 3 RPS. It doesn't stop. It just keeps going until I run out of water. Which, yeah. Okay, so now we've made progress. We've gotten down, and we finally hit oil. What next? Well, see, the thing is, the pipe, which is tacked to the swivel, now oil comes up through there, so to speak. And the pump jack, which is attached to the swivel, there's 2 faces, which I'll show later, that they interface. You need a force to pull up and down on the top of the weld jack, or the weld jack. Like, I'm using a piston here. You can use compact sliders, you can linear tracks, whatever you choose to do, you can use it. You just got to pull the top part of there up and down and create a pumping action, which will bring fluid down. I used a hose, as you can see, for a variable length because it's constantly moving, because I have the entire swivel and pump jack system on a moving platform. So it's easier just to put a hose so that it won't have any issues. So that comes down. It comes through the winch here, which that connects to. I got it outputting into this tank, which from there, I have this hose, which leading out to this currently. And this is holding the oil that I'm making currently. So, now it's not a fully optimized system yet. I mean, it was just a learning experience so I could figure out how it worked, but this is basically the most simplified version. How you end up coming, it's going to be up to you. there's a lot of parts. The hardest part is just trying to get parts working around each other to do things. I've seen people use automated systems where they carry these over, put them in, you know, and then slip a piece off of there and then pull the storage rack off and throw it off to the side. I mean, there's many different ways. You'll have to come up with your own, figure it out. But it seems there's some fun stuff that I've seen, so, from some of the other people I talked to. Like, okay, so now that's the oil you've hit. That's what I want to concentrate on, is just the rig. I know there's more parts. I'll go briefly over them in the workshop, which where I'm going to head to next. And, yeah, so give me a moment, and I will see you there. Okay, so I'm back here. I'm in a hangar workshop. Now, we're going to go over the actual parts individually as I mention them. You saw the assembled thing. I know it's probably a lot to take in, but now let's go over the individual pieces. You can find most everything that was added with just by typing in oil in your part selection, and it'll bring it up. There were a few parts that added that aren't brought up under it. We'll go over those, and they're mainly for the distillation process, so we'll leave that be for that. Okay, so we have the oil rig clamp. This is one of the two pieces that manipulate the pipes. As I was mentioning earlier, that was my claw mechanic that was reaching over, grabbing the pipe. You have the connector, the oil rig drill connector. These take two pipes and put them together, fuse them into one piece. Here's the swivel piece. This, as you know, it looks like a fire hydrant. This is what you feed the slurry in and out of. So if you look on the sides, there's two ports. There's a fluid in and a fluid out. And this transfers the slurry from one side to the other, so you can start making progress. The rod attaches to the end here, this little orange tip. Your rod will, when you go to clamp, will clamp to that part. Even though technically a rod can get fed through it, it won't clamp to it unless it's clamping to the end of the rod. I found it took me forever to figure it out. If you go watch my Twitch stream as Arcades Test, you will see I struggled with that for a while because I had it fed through, was trying to get it to clamp, it would clamp, it wouldn't clamp. It took me to figure this goes on the end. So this is your end point. It sits at the end of the pipe, it draws the fluid out. Took me forever to figure that out. And then it finally hit me like, oh, okay. Okay, so the next piece, we have the oil rig pump jack. Now, as it stands, as you see, it has a surface at the top here that you can attach something to. Like that. And what you do is that's what you use to create a pulling back and forth action to create oil coming up. And I mean, it even says, pump jack for extracting crude oil from a drilled oil well. Pulling the piston of the pump jack with enough force will lift the piston, pulling fluid through the pump. A mechanical force capable of repeatedly cycling the piston is required to pump fluid effectively. So, yeah, that's pretty much all it is. You just got to make that piston go up and down. You can, and I said before, you can use the sliders, you can use the piston. It's not perfect, but it seemed to be fixed in my last version. I'll show you in a minute. The tracks, the pistons. I'm sure there's other things that people come up with. So, I mean, you could probably technically maybe do a winch. That would probably be the worst one in my opinion, but hey, it's something you could do. But it is there. Now, here's the other thing about the swivel and this. Oh, you turn off. Didn't mean to do that. So, the pump jack and the swivel, as you can see, have the same interface on the bottom of them, which means they go together. That, again, took me a little while to figure out. Like, I saw the interface, I was like, they gotta work together. But I was trying to set up without having to use them to draw the oil, and I figured out how to get the swivel to work, because you don't need them together to actually drill. You need them together to pump oil. That's the thing. So you can drill. Here's the thing. You can drill with the swivel with a drilling platform, then come back reload, get rid of your drilling platform, and set up for a pumping station / pumping distillery, which you won't need. You don't need the pump jack for the first one, but you do need it for the second one. You do need it for the pumping station. So the only thing about the pumping station is you got to be able to reinsert rods. You don't have to dig, you just need to reinsert the rods, thankfully. Okay, next. This is the actual rod storage. So that's a rod storage piece, and as I showed earlier, you can technically pick it up. You can come over here, pick it up, and you can let it go. But as I said earlier, it's picky about its placement, but you can put it back in, and it will lock back in place. And these are, I believe, 10 meters each. They're 40 blocks long, so 10 meters each. They're pretty big. All right, here's the rotary table. This is the part that causes the mechanical force, the drill. And as you can see, power port right there on the side. Easy peasy. It's pretty straightforward. Like I said, it caps out at 5 RPS. You can go slower than that. I had better results at like a little under with my system, and it worked just fine. And then here's the this was the gold piece underneath the station. This is the part that hits the ground. This is what you feed the pipes into, and it will go down under over time as you're progressing. You're just basically feeding the pipe. You're stringing the pipe from this through this to connect them together, through this to spin them, and finally into this to do the digging. That's how it's going. And this right over top of this is probably end up what's going to do, because you're going to probably have this above that. This will continue to spin the entire time, and you can connect them together while they're spinning. You can connect them together while they're not spinning. It's all there and all possible. And what I mean by spinning, it's the rotational force provided by the table. So, okay, now, 3 of the pieces have... Now, here's the thing. The table, the swivel, and these connectors right here have a clamp function on them. Clamp, 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 and clamp. That just means they're attaching to the rod. They will not provide their functions to the rod unless they're clamped to the rod. So the table can't spin the rod if it's not clamped. The swivel can't draw oil or put slurry through it if it's not clamped. And this can't connect it unless it's clamped to at least one of the 2 pipes. So keep that in mind as you're operating it, because that's what they're written. Now, as far as logic, this has a clamp status, so it lets you know that it is currently clamped. The clamp here and the connector here both have a velocity slider mechanism on them. Basically like the compact sliders. If you put a value into it, it will change the speed of which it moves the thing in that direction. So if you go -1, it goes one direction at the rate, and 1 being the max. Well, don't know if 1 is actually the max, but that's typically where we work with. Or if you go positive, it'll go the other direction. And if you see here, we got positive and negative arrows on this to show you how it will affect it. Now, we have also on here on the connector, it has a line status, meaning that when you have 2 ends of the pipe on there, it will light up when you have 2 pipe sections in there that are ready to be connected. And all you gotta do is give an input to the connection and it will connect. This one just has an output for saying, hey, I'm clamped. And this is your input for telling it to clamp. This does not have a clamp status. It does have an RPS output. the storage rods. The storage has a status for whether or not the rod is stored. I'm sure people can use that for various different things. Let know, hey. And then finally for this piece, we have telling it to anchor. And it says extend retract piles to the anchor to anchor the wellhead to the terrain, allowing for a new well to be drilled. The wellhead must be close to the terrain, less than a meter, and about a meter, and upright, plus or minus 30 degrees, which means 15 degrees in either direction. In any direction. To be anchored. Unanchoring the well will reset any drilling progress made. So I'm guessing that means you lose your rods. And it gives you your drill depth, returns the depth of an attached drill rod in meters, and returns the depth of the drilled well in meters. How far you've gotten. So say you go reset the reset the well, it will just basically say, hey, yeah, this is how far you've gotten here since you've attached me. So you don't actually have to drill to that depth. You just have to place the rods back down, and then you can start drilling again. And this tells you where the rod is actually at. This tells you that it is anchored, and this is where you say, hey, anchor me. Okay, now, I'll go over this briefly. We have a fractional distiller. Now, this piece, based on, from what I understand, it works based on altitude. So the higher it is, you attach it to an enclosed space. You fill that enclosed space with oil. Then you take these other new pieces, which I will go ahead and bring out. They added an electric furnace and a diesel furnace. To put them bluntly, they're fireboxes, but they have different sources of power. So the electrical furnace is basically, it just uses electricity. The diesel uses diesel. They work, from everything I've seen, they work pretty much like a coal box. Like the coal boxes for steam, you hook them up, you turn them on, they start generating heat. Same principle, it's just the source of fuel they use. Now, what you're doing with the distillation process is you're taking your oil, you put it in a contained space, you start cycling it through these heaters to warm it up. What will end up happening is eventually, when they get above 300 degrees Celsius, the game's temperature they use, it will start creating the fuel based on their altitude. So this, I guess the best way to show this, because I was messing with this earlier. Give me a second. Okay, so I was testing this. I wanted to see if certain things worked a certain way. So I need something stable. Now, as you can see, it says right here, collecting diesel. Up there, it also say collecting diesel. Should, at least. Yep, see? So this isn't high enough yet for jet. Now, the thing is that I turn this down here. They are now technically lower than they were before. And it says collecting oil. Collecting oil. So keep that in mind. And on top of that, they've let stuff flow through it. So I would suggest, considering they just changed filters, so this is annoying, make sure you have a valve before you're ready. And as you can see, I have it set up here. I have it so that it would pass fluid through the heater back into the other end of this tank and would heat it up. It's pretty straightforward. It is actually really just that simple. You just got to get the fluid to come through here. It heats up the fluid. Get it back in there. Just put a heat probe in there and you can watch the temperature. And then when it gets above 300 degrees, it'll start creating the fluids. It does subtract from the tank, so it will affect some of the tank's internal volume of contents will affect how it works from basically what I've been hearing from people. I haven't fully tested myself, but yeah, it's actually pretty simple to distill. So it's pretty straightforward. So you just need to get a tank, get it heat up 300, give it a moment, and then just open a valve between these, and it will start letting it flow. I would also suggest getting filters in there. Try to get the old filters because they made a change to filters. Don't understand why, but they did. Here, let me show that real quick. So here is our fluid filter. This is how it functions now. Allow liquids, allow gases. That's it now. Before, it used to have each and every individual filter material on the filter. And that's it. Now we don't have that as part of the regular stuff. They have been depreciated, which means for a depreciated item, so like this right here, I used a butt ton of filters on this. So if you see right here, fluid filter depreciated has all these, and they even added the new ones to it. So keep that in mind. Watch out for that. So if you have anything with the old filters and you go to try to bring it into career mode, it's going to delete it. It's going to take it out of it. Which is very annoying to me because this vehicle, which I have used in career, lives on these things. If you don't understand, if you can guess. So keep that in mind. Watch out for that for your builds, and yeah. All right, next I want to show you a process for actually going through it. I'm going to bring up my facility. I'm going to go one of the drill points, and we're going to go through the process of drilling and show you it working. Okay, so I ended up over here. I'm over at the over here by the career starter base, over at this spot. The structure I have here is actually pretty cheap too. It's only about 25,000 considering. And what we're gonna do, I am actually gonna load. Oh, this isn't the updated one. What the hell? Hold on. Okay, so I had to do some painting on this real quick and reorganizing stuff. Okay, so I color coded this so you can help see some of the stuff in order. But we're gonna go through a sample digging process, and yeah. So here in my structure, so you can hear the winch is going. It's making it so the jack can available. I'm letting it do its thing real quick. And I think 40s. Okay, so now we don't hear that. Okay, so for my system here, first stage, we need a rod. Right now we already have the wellhead, so we need to get a rod and start feeding it through. So, no, wrong way. So the rod comes around. I have it set up so it will come forward. And then I just hit the clamp. It holds onto it. I bring it around. And because if I don't bring it around, it's going to hit the structure. I'm going to raise it up some. So I'm going to use the slider. I'm using switch boxes. I'm going to use the slider function to motion it up. And that should be enough. Then I'm going to bring it around the rest of the way. Shut up, you stupid horse. Then I'm going to bring it down. You see it feeds it down. That should be enough. As you can see, it is fed through the system there. Also, I'm going to go ahead and send my swivel head all the way up. Oh, wait. Down. See, this is what I'm talking about. You got to be careful of how your mechanisms work with each other, because you can see the swivel head hit that. Alright, so I need it down a little farther. So now I need my connector, and I have two connector positions here. I have one lower, one higher. So I have a connector and controls for each of them. So we're gonna clamp them both. As you can see, it is registering they are clamped. So now I can let go of that. Well, now I need to move the clamp out of it. Problem is I can't move it because the rod is still in position. So, as to fix that, I have a release button. It rotates that down, which in that case, now I can move this out of the way. And as you can see, alright, now that it's clear, I can bring the swivel head up. I can go all the way top. Now, I am going to turn on the clamp, which, with the use of some switch boxes and such, I have set it up in position there. As you see, it's coming down because the thing up there is still moving. Okay, now we need it to come down. And you see, it's pushing it down and through. As it came all the way down, those are still connected, so I'm just going to undo that, unclamp, send it back up. Now, my rack here, if I just roll this, it's going to be out. So I'm going to advance it forward. 1. I used various up-down counters and all that, so it progresses. But the thing is I'm just going to go ahead, turn it around, grab the next rod, get it out of the way. I'm going to raise it up a bit so it clears the machinery. Swing around the rest of the way. I'm going to hit the clamp. As you can see, it already clamped on, so I can now release the claw clamp. Use that button to swivel it out of the way. Bring the claw out of the way, and then I can just use... Okay, so here's where I gotta be careful. You see it's light up, it says it's aligned. It's a little forced, but it's in there. So, all I have to do, hit the connect. It's now technically connected. Go and bring it down. It is now at the maximum depth it's going to do. So we're ready to actually drill. So I'm going to turn on my pumps, turn on my table clamp, and turn up the motor. And you can hear it munching along. Now you see here, I got slurry spawned in this tank. It's pumping through here, going up through linear tracks, goes into the swivel through there, comes back down through the other linear track, goes into this tank, which then gets pushed through this filter and these filters, and as you can see, they're running through it. I have emergency water input. And this is basically the drilling. You can come down here. Now, as you can see, I'm putting downward pressure to help move it down. I don't think it's really required as much. It depends on the situation, but you can also use the claw, the sliders to do it too. But it will move down. Now we come down here to the drill head, and as you can see, it is progressing along. So as you can tell, not the fastest process, but it is working. Alright, you see here, it says slurry in and out. That's where it's capped out. And the water is coming in and out. Now, as far as the content, you look up there. So that is showing you my coolant getting consumed in the process. In which case, I'll just bring out a truck full of water, attach it up here, and just refill the system. I think I hold about 2,000 liters in through all these, so a little over 2,000, so that's just over 200 per, or 500 per cylinder head, so. And you can do it, you can make a big tank of slurry, you can make a big tank of water to go with a limited amount of slurry. Shut up, you stupid horse! That scared the crap out of me. But yeah. And that's the process. And you're just waiting for this to happen. So. I'll admit this feels a little slower than my other place, so. Anyways. So that's drilling in a nutshell. And as you can see, you saw me insert a rod, connected the rod, used the connector to connect the rod, and now we're just waiting for it to come through. My other station is currently pumping oil, so I actually did go over that a little bit there. Actually, I could go over it again. But okay, now here comes the interesting part about the swivel. Is as you can see, it's coming down here. It will hit soon enough, and it'll just come to a stop. Okay, so right now it's come to a stop. So I can actually, yeah, here you hear there's no more digging. So I'm going to disengage the clamp, send it all the way back to the top. Now you noticed it left that right there already in the perfect spot. So you bring it all the way down, it will already set that there. So we're going to go ahead and advance our rack 1 again. Bring it forward. Clamp. Forward a little bit. Raise it up. Swing it all the way around. And you notice it actually came into place. I managed to aim it properly. There we go. To where it is already technically aligned. As you can see, it's lit up there. Just hit that. It's now considered one piece. I can declamp the claw. Use that to swing it out of the way, and there you go. Turn on the clamp. And you see it's like it's on and ready, so that when it comes down, it hooks on. And yeah, so that's the process. That's literally, you're just moving the pipes around to get in position, hook them up, attach them to the swivel, and just start drilling, processing your slurry. You can see my system has been keeping up with the slurry. This is the only one that's been maxed out, because we haven't hit oil yet. Now, from what I understand, talking with a few people, it seems like the two in the north, possibly, and the one in the middle here, they're about between 50 and probably 60 meters down of depth. The one over here at JSI seems to be deeper than that. Don't know that's the same for everybody. It might be, you know, based on your seed or whatever, but they seem to be consistent in that from people I talk to, so, yeah. Keep that in mind. So don't discourage if it takes more than that, and make sure you have a way to bring in more rods to your system, or have a large stock of them so you can do this. So make sure you can supply yourself rods, install rods into the system, and have a way to get the oil off as soon as you're ready. If you know, despawn this through the table and try to add another one, you're going to have to reinstall, you know, put the rods down in there, so make sure you know how many rods you need for that and set up to do that. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to go over the distillation process. It's not really that hard. Like I said, you're just taking an enclosed space of oil and heating it up, and then using the taps at the proper height to pull your fluid out after it's at the fluid. Be careful though; they will allow oil through. They will allow oil through the taps before it's up to temperature, and so you need to make sure you have your filters. Get those old depreciated filters, so they only allow oil and jet fuel through. And as you can see, when everything's running, you don't need the table running. You don't need anything else running. You just need the pump jack running to bring up the oil through the piping. And it will pump through the system. And you just put it into a receptacle. You either do a truck, take that out to a distillation facility of your own, or you can build a distillation facility on top of here. You can make your drilling platform, despawn it, and then make a pumping station on here instead, or you can do an all-in-one. Up to you, however you want to do it. Always options. So, anyways, I'm Arcades. I stream on twitch.tv as Arcades Test every other Sunday, doing Stormworks. I do various other engineering games, so feel free to join me there. If you enjoyed this, if you found this helpful, like, subscribe, all that fun junk. Helps me out on the channel. Comment anything else. Spread some news about this. Yeah. So, hope you had a good time. Hope you enjoyed watch. This is Arcades, signing out. Have yourself a good day, and go strike some oil. Hello, Mr. Horse. So, I'm trying to make a video about the oil drilling, and while you are perfectly themed as a black-colored horse for the oil, you interrupted my filming! Don't walk away from me. I said don't walk away. So if you would please, don't scare me while I'm filming. It would be nice. Thank you very much. You think I did well enough? Nah. Critics. Say hello to the big oil update, and yeah, come watch my video about the info about doing the mining. Mining? Drilling. Yes. Black gold.